Good morning, this is Mariana Boyens from Stellenbosch, and today's lesson is all about how to start drawing a face. I would like to say that's an easy thing to do, but it really isn't an easy thing to do. You have to know quite a lot of basics unless you are just born with this amazing gifting and you just get up and go and you know how to do it without anybody telling you how to do it. But mostly there's some principles involved that can really help you to understand how to draw a face and what you should look at and why you should look at it. So yeah, with a video like this, I don't really know where to start. There's just so much. So I'll probably break this down in part 1, part 2, part 3. But today is part 1, just to show you there's different ways of going about drawing a face. The first thing would be blocking in a face. So if you have a look at this image here, I'm just going to bring it closer. It's from Secrets to Drawing Heads by Alan Kruivanger, a source that I've really been using quite a lot. It's quite an amazing book. It teaches you the basics of drawing faces and heads, and so it's really helped me. So if you look at this little sketch of a face, it's quite a nice sculptural looking face, nice and three-dimensional because of the shadows. You can see that it's blocked in. The fact that it's blocked in gives you immediate sense of negative space. So what is negative space? If you check out my other videos on circles and negative space, you should understand better what I'm about to say. But it's basically, if we say that the head is the positive form, and we say that these enclosed corners and all the shapes around it, around and in between, is all negative space, then it means that that is a negative space, this is negative space, this is negative space, and that's negative space. And you can draw this whole head by just drawing the outline of the head, by just drawing the negative spaces around the head. But it won't work if you don't block it in. You have to block it in. So anything that you block in, any difficult face that you want to draw and you want to get to know, the moment you block it in, I hope you can see the blocks on this Leonardo da Vinci. It's quite amazing what happens, because immediately your eye will see negative spaces around positive forms. So the moment anything gets blocked in, that's a lovely little negative space to draw. And it's only because there are lines running through this face. Whether it's rectangles or squares, I don't think it really matters. That's up to you. I like going for squares. But it really does help you to block a face like this in. So that's one of the ways to block in a face, or to draw a face, is blocking the face in a rectangle or a square, whatever, drawing lines around it, checking out negative spaces as you go. Negative spaces are not just something like this face where you will say, okay, positive form, nicely little four corners of negative spaces. It can be anything you block in. It will create negative spaces around positive form. So in this case, I think this is also Da Vinci. Again, there's a little negative space there. There's some negative space there by the shoulder there. Hands are great. If you block them in, you get lots of nice looking negative spaces, which makes drawing hands a lot easier. So as you'll be drawing a face like this, you'll be focusing on negative space and positive form, and a few other things. There's another example of just blocking in. One of my students did this, and they did quite an intricate blocking system. But what they were focusing on mostly was eyes, nose, mouth. That also helps a lot. If you can just get the basic things like eyes placed, nose, mouth placed, that's where I usually begin, is there. Or I begin with this beautiful edge on the side to try and create that. Because once I've got that, I can move from there inwards towards the eye, the nose, the other eye. Try not to jump around when you're using blocks to draw. Do it quite logically. Start at one edge. And my lecturers used to say at Northwest University or Potch University, they used to say one part to another part to the whole, which simply means if I can get this edge done perfectly, I can move from that edge inwards to the eyebrow, to this eye, to the nose, to the mouth. If I get them right, I can go further and I can move onwards to another eye. Whatever, wherever you start, move downwards or inwards, but don't jump from here to there. That doesn't make sense, jumping from there to there. It's just going to be confusing. So pace yourself and start at a certain place. Okay, so if I had to draw a face after many years of drawing, just to say that there's a lesson plan available on my website, marianaboenskunshuis.co.za, where I sell a sort of a portrait course or a portrait package that involves really all the basic things about the face, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. I break it off and I teach you how to draw a face, how to draw the different parts of the face, like the nose, the eyes, the mouth. So you can check that out at Mariana Boenskunshuis. There's also also busy with a basic drawing foundation course, which is almost completed. That'll also be on there. If I mention something like this and you don't see it for sale yet, please just contact me via email. All of this is in process of I'm in the process of making all of this, and it's almost completed. So just contact me via email and tell me if you're interested, and then we can discuss it from there. So okay, so if I had to draw a face, what would I do? Where would I start? I would start figuring out something called the central axis line, and that's the line running through the middle of the face. So it runs through the middle of the face. If you take a face from the front, it's easier to just see it because it's right in the middle of the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the chin, and later on the neck. So it's that line running through the center of the face. It breaks up the face nicely. If the face is frontal, it basically breaks up the face nicely in two different symmetrical parts, mostly symmetrical, and you can much easier place different elements because you've got that line. So the other very important line would be the eye line, the nose line, and the mouth line. That's the next step that I would take in trying to figure out a face. I would figure out where's the central axis line, where's the eye line, where's the nose line, where's the mouth, and I would start working and building up from there. And then even in my case, I would sometimes block in a certain section like that, because you can see the moment I draw a line there, it might look really skew on the video. I apologize if it is. It's not always easy to know what it's going to look like on video. I would block in, say for instance, that corner to see this shape clearly, which means it would be much easier to draw the negative space, which means I could draw this part of the face in a much quicker and easier way. But I would start with central axis line. The central axis line, for me, it makes sense that there should be a line like that. If you think about our bodies and our faces, it's quite symmetrical. So that line, actually, if you draw it in, I'm going to draw it in this face. It's a little bit difficult, more difficult if it's from the side, the face. But try to search for the middle of the eyebrow, middle of the nose, middle of the mouth, middle of the chin. And get that right first. And then do eye line, nose, mouth. Why am I curving these lines? You see, I'm curving it. Our faces are not flat. We don't have flat faces. It's mostly almost like an egg. It's three-dimensional. So if you try to draw a line on an egg, it's going to be slightly curved. There's no straight lines on an egg. That's what I always tell my students. So yes, slightly curved lines, which is going to help you placing the central axis line. Just remember, as the face changes, I just want to get another example. So hold on. I think I'm going to stop this part 1 here. Central axis line, really important. Okay, and then definitely important, the eye line. The line of the nose line, where you would place the nose, and the mouth. All of those are really important. And keep the line slightly curved, just because you know that it's not a flat shape. And then other things that are important is always check. End of the nose, if you draw a line upwards, where do you get? Where do you get to? So in this case, that beginning of the eye lines up perfectly with the end of the nose. In this case, because on the other side, because the face is slightly turned towards me, it's at an angle, it's going to be it's still going to line up, but it's going to be slightly different than on this side. And then the other thing that I'm always aware of is to place the mouth. What is the angle between nose and mouth? Nose and mouth. Because then it helps me to place the mouth much quicker. So always aware of, check your vertical alignment as well. So end of nose to eye, end of nose to beginning of eye. Angle between nose and mouth will tell you where the mouth stops on both sides, nose and mouth. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and we'll do part 2 after this.